Imagine looking up at the night sky, searching for familiar constellations, and knowing that among those silent stars, a new breed of weapons quietly circles the Earth. These aren't the science fiction lasers of old movies, but very real, cutting-edge interceptors and sensors, capable of detecting and annihilating missiles before they ever reach their targets. This is the future envisioned by the United States' latest missile defense project, codenamed the Golden Dome. But what if this high-tech shield is less about safety and more about a high-stakes race that could transform space into the world's ultimate battlefield? Today, we're diving into one of the most controversial technological gambits of the 21st century. How did a presidential signature spark panic in Pyongyang, angry outbursts in Beijing and Moscow, and heated debates in boardrooms and parliaments around the globe? And most importantly, will the Golden Dome guard us from danger or unleash a new era of risk the world can't afford? The idea of a shield that could stop enemy missiles before they strike has haunted and inspired military planners for decades. Back in the 1980s, President Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative, mockingly dubbed Star Wars, promised laser platforms and orbiting arsenals. The Cold War's end shelved those dreams, temporarily. Fast forward 40 years. The world faces new threats, missiles travel faster than ever, and the arms race has taken a technological leap into orbit. Enter the Golden Dome. Officially, it's a next-generation, space-based missile defense network designed to protect the U.S. and its allies from missile attacks. At its core, a constellation of satellites, each packed with advanced sensors, AI-driven tracking, and interceptor systems. The promise? To spot and neutralize enemy missiles in their most vulnerable phase, seconds after launch, while boosters still burn brightly against the darkness of space. Just days after President Trump signed the executive order on January 27, 2025, international headlines exploded. North Korea's government condemned the plan, branding it a blueprint for nuclear war in space. In a tense memorandum broadcast by the Korean Central News Agency, Pyongyang accused the U.S. of not just defensive posturing, but of plotting to create an offensive missile platform capable of launching attacks at any time. And North Korea was not alone. China's foreign ministry registered serious concerns, warning that the Golden Dome might trigger an unpredictable and dangerous arms race. Russia's defense ministry cryptically announced it was analyzing the plan and would take necessary measures. Even U.S. allies like South Korea and Japan were jolted, wondering how this leap in military technology might reshape their own defense strategies or make them pawns in a new great power rivalry. For the United States, the Golden Dome is nothing short of a technological moonshot. The Space Force, armed with a $1.7 billion budget, is working with giants like Lockheed Martin and RTX Corp to build the hardware. Contracts are flying. $250 million to Lockheed for the first tranche of space interceptors, another $100 million to RTX for state-of-the-art sensors. The Missile Defense Agency has already celebrated successful tests, most notably a system that tracked a hypersonic missile streaking across the Pacific from space, a feat that would have sounded impossible just years ago. The Aerospace Industries Association, ever upbeat, claims the Golden Dome will spark a new economic boom, an estimated 50,000 new high-tech jobs, with ripple effects across manufacturing and engineering. But for every patriotic cheer, there's an undercurrent of unease. Weaponizing space undermines international security and makes arms control efforts significantly more challenging, warns Dr. Elaine Zhu, an arms control expert at the Secure World Foundation. She notes that if the U.S. pushes too far, too fast, rivals may respond in ways that spiral beyond control. The lack of transparency surrounding space activities, she adds, heightens the risk of miscalculation and potential conflict. Of course, not everyone is convinced the Golden Dome is a doomsday machine in waiting. General Michael Getlin, handpicked to lead the program, argues that new threats require bold answers. The pace of missile technology is relentless, he told Congress. Without a credible space-based shield, America and its allies are left dangerously exposed. Let's go deeper into the technology and the economic might fueling this 21st century Star Wars. Each Golden Dome satellite will bristle with sensors capable of seeing the glow of rocket launches almost anywhere on Earth. Ultra-fast data links, powered by the latest advances in AI, promise to relay information between satellites in near real time. One expert described these networks as the nervous system of a global shield. Intercepting a missile from orbit isn't easy. Targets move at thousands of kilometers per hour. The distances are vast, the windows for action mere seconds. But the Pentagon is betting that new sensor tech, like what RTX is racing to deliver, can spot even hypersonic missiles, which travel up to 20 times the speed of sound. And then there's the interceptors. These are not the plodding, error-prone systems of decades past. Today's prototypes are agile, AI-guided, and designed for fast, autonomous action. If a rogue missile arcs into space, the hope is a Golden Dome satellite can track, process, and, if needed, launch a kill vehicle to intercept, all before decision-makers even finish their first cup of coffee. The economic scale is staggering. Think of the supply chain. Thousands of engineers, technicians, and AI specialists. New factories springing up in Texas and California. Billions in contracts to aerospace giants, from Lockheed Martin to Raytheon and beyond. For the private sector, the Golden Dome is more than a shield. It's a jobs engine and technological catalyst. Yet every dollar spent draws criticism. For some in Congress, $1.7 billion is just the beginning. Analysts warn the true price tag could balloon into the tens of billions. And critics point to past boondoggles, cost overruns, failed intercepts, and systems that looked dazzling on paper but faltered under real-world conditions. But the true conflict isn't just about hardware or dollars, it's about geopolitics and the unpredictable reactions of America's rivals. North Korea's denunciation set the tone. Their foreign ministry branded the Golden Dome as a tool for U.S. hegemony, a ploy to use allies like South Korea and Japan as bullet shields and cannon fodder. Pyongyang vowed to exercise our sovereign right to defend our strategic security interests. China's response was more measured but no less pointed. The deployment of space-based missile defenses will inevitably intensify the arms race in outer space, a Chinese defense analyst warned on state television. We are being forced to consider countermeasures. The memories of past U.S. projects, like the deployment of THAAD missile systems in South Korea, still sting in Beijing, where officials fear losing the strategic balance in East Asia. Moscow, too, signaled defiance. The Russian Defense Ministry stated it is analyzing the Golden Dome plan and will take necessary measures. The subtext is clear. Russia, with its own formidable arsenal, won't sit idly by. Russian state media have already floated the idea of deploying their own space-based systems, or developing technology specifically to defeat U.S. interceptors. The Kremlin's nightmare, a future where American satellites could not only neutralize incoming missiles, but threaten Russian launches at their earliest, most vulnerable stage. A high-ranking Russian defense official, speaking anonymously, offered a chilling assessment. If the U.S. turns space into a battlefield, we will be forced to respond, whatever the cost. Meanwhile, diplomats at the United Nations scramble to contain the fallout. On May 24th, a special panel on disarmament convened to debate a new resolution. Should the world ban weapons in space before it's too late? The usual dividing lines emerged, Western democracies urging caution, but insisting on the right to defend themselves, rivals demanding ironclad guarantees against space-based arms. There's a sobering realization that current treaties, like the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, never imagined a day when satellites would become weapons platforms. Within the U.S., the political debate is raw. Hawks argue that modern threats, like hypersonic missiles from rogue states, demand a shield that's faster, smarter, and based above the clouds. Doves warn that building the Golden Dome could spark a tit-for-tat spiral, forcing adversaries to develop anti-satellite weapons or new nuclear delivery systems able to evade detection. And for the American taxpayer, uncertainty abounds. Is the Golden Dome an investment in peace through strength, or the opening chapter of a new, vastly more dangerous arms race? There's also the hard technological truth. No system is perfect. Experts remind us that space-based interceptors can be thwarted with simple countermeasures, decoys, stealth coatings, or swarms of missiles designed to overwhelm sensors. Every shield breeds a new sword, one technology analyst joked at a Secure World Foundation webinar. The arms race is not a movie. It's a complex, expensive, and potentially endless cycle. Legal scholars are sounding the alarm too. International law lags far behind technological change. The Outer Space Treaty prohibits weapons of mass destruction in orbit, but says nothing about kinetic interceptors or AI-driven kill vehicles. Nations are treading in a gray zone, pushing boundaries as fast as engineers can build them. The risk? A miscalculation, a glitch, or a deliberate act could trigger an escalation nobody wants and nobody can control. And underlying it all is a haunting question. Are we, in our drive for safety, inviting the very dangers we seek to prevent? As the Golden Dome project surges ahead, With new contracts signed, satellites under construction, and global tensions rising, the world watches. Will this technological leap truly make us safer? Or are we standing on the threshold of a new age of uncertainty, where the heavens themselves could become the ultimate battleground? One expert's warning seems harder to shake as the debate intensifies. Deploying missiles in space has long-term consequences that haven't been fully considered. So, what happens next? As the U.S. pushes forward and rivals like Russia and China prepare their own countermoves, could the Golden Dome lead to new arms control treaties, or to the weaponization of space on a scale never seen before? The answer, shaped by politics, technology, and the unforgiving logic of deterrence, remains deeply uncertain. But what happens next? Now that the Golden Dome is transforming from an ambitious blueprint into a funded, rapidly advancing program, the world stands at a pivotal crossroads. Over the next decade, the decisions made by political leaders, scientists, and diplomats could either safeguard our future or plunge humanity into a new, unpredictable arms race beyond Earth's atmosphere. Imagine this. By 2030, the night sky is no longer just a tapestry of stars. Instead, a growing web of military satellites orbits overhead, each one bristling with hypersensitive sensors, AI-driven interceptors, and classified technology. Countries like Russia and China, viewing the U.S. Golden Dome as an existential threat, respond with their own clandestine programs. The risk of misunderstanding, accidental escalation, or even a catastrophic miscalculation has never been higher. Dr. Emilia Sanchez, a leading security analyst, recently warned, "Space is no longer a sanctuary. If we weaponize it, we risk turning the entire planet into a chessboard of suspicion and danger." Her words ring especially true in the halls of the United Nations, where diplomats now scramble to draft new treaties, hoping to limit or at least regulate this new dimension of military power. Some experts see an opportunity for fresh arms control agreements, perhaps even a modern successor to the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, which famously enshrined space as the province of all mankind. Yet the reality is far messier. Legal gray zones abound. Is a satellite equipped with a high-powered sensor already a weapon? If it can intercept a missile, could it one day target another satellite or even deliver a ground strike? Every new technological leap blurs the lines further. For the global public, these debates sound distant, even abstract, but the consequences will be felt right here on Earth. The Golden Dome program is projected to create over 50,000 new jobs in the United States alone, revitalizing entire sectors of the aerospace economy. Yet, for every worker in Houston or Denver celebrating a new contract, there are millions worldwide who must live with the heightened risk of accidental launches, debris fields, and arms escalation. Now let's weigh the possible futures. One scenario, a new era of strategic stability. The Golden Dome, by making nuclear-armed missiles obsolete, could theoretically deter aggressors and reassure nervous allies. In this version of the future, China and Russia, faced with overwhelming American space superiority, might seek new arms control deals, perhaps even agreeing to mutual verification missions and strict limits on orbital weaponry. If this happened, the Golden Dome could be remembered as the catalyst that finally brought space powers back to the negotiating table. But there's a more troubling outcome, the cycle of escalation. Russia and China invest heavily in countermeasures, hypersonic missiles, decoy satellites, electronic warfare. The more the U.S. builds in space, the more its rivals respond. Without transparency, the chance of a misunderstanding spirals upward. A satellite malfunction or a rogue missile launch could trigger a global crisis in minutes. As Dr. Liu Zhang of the Secure World Foundation cautions, the higher you build your shield, the stronger your adversary's sword will become. And then there's the wild card, technological disruption. As AI becomes central to space defense, human control could quickly become an afterthought. Imagine a constellation of satellites making split-second decisions in orbital combat, guided not by diplomats but by algorithms. The result? Lightning-fast escalation, where warning time shrinks from hours to seconds, and where the window for human intervention nearly vanishes. Already, the U.S. Missile Defense Agency is testing sensors capable of tracking hypersonic missiles from orbit, a breathtaking technical feat that, if fully developed, could change the nature of deterrence forever. But these advances raise deep ethical questions. Who decides when an autonomous interceptor should fire? What happens if the system makes a mistake? There's no easy answer. International law is barely keeping up. The United Nations has convened a new panel to discuss the weaponization of outer space, but as one diplomat privately admitted, we are building the rules after the game has already started. The U.S. Congress debates billion-dollar budgets with little public scrutiny, while foreign ministries issue fierce statements but pursue secret projects of their own. Yet there are glimmers of hope. Some advocates believe that the sheer costs and risks of space-based arms races will eventually convince rival powers to cooperate. Just as the horrors of nuclear brinkmanship led to arms control treaties in the 20th century, perhaps the specter of debris clouds, accidental launches, and orbital chaos will force a new era of global dialogue. For ordinary citizens, what does all this mean? First, our security and the shape of our future depends not just on what happens on the battlefield, but also in space. The satellites that guide our GPS, process financial trades, and deliver global news are now potential pawns in a much larger conflict. The choices made by governments today will impact everything from our daily routines to the balance of power for generations. It's also a stark reminder that technological progress is a double-edged sword. While innovations like the Golden Dome promise to defend against missile threats, they may also make conflict more likely by undermining the fragile trust between nations. History has shown, time and again, that new weapons spark races, not peace. The key lesson here is that security is not just about hardware or firepower. It's about diplomacy, transparency, and the willingness to cooperate even in times of deep mistrust. So what can you do with this knowledge? Stay informed. Demand transparency from your leaders. Support international frameworks that promote cooperation in space, such as the recent efforts at the United Nations to prevent the weaponization of orbit. If you're in a position to influence public debate, whether as a student, a professional, or a voter, raise your voice. The more the public understands about the stakes of this new space race, the harder it becomes for governments to act in secret. Maybe you're watching this thinking, it's all too big, my voice doesn't matter. But remember, arms control successes of the past, from the partial test ban treaty to the SALT agreements, only happened because ordinary people cared and spoke out. History is not made only in boardrooms and war rooms. It's shaped by public awareness, activism, and education. The future of space security could be more democratic than ever if we demand it. There's also a personal lesson here. In our interconnected world, what happens in orbit doesn't stay in orbit. The tech that powers our lives is vulnerable, and our collective safety now depends on how wisely we choose to wield new inventions. Innovation should serve humanity's interests, not just military ambition. As we reach the end of this exploration, let's circle back to the burning question. Will the Golden Dome spark a new wave of arms control, or will it push us toward a perilous weaponization of the final frontier? Based on the evidence, the answer remains delicately balanced. The Golden Dome could yet inspire new treaties and cooperation, as the sheer gravity of placing weapons above the world shocks leaders into compromise. But the risk of escalation is real, and the current trends point toward a tense, unpredictable period in international relations. A time when the fate of peace may hinge on a single satellite, a misunderstood maneuver, or a rogue algorithm. Here's a secret fact. According to multiple defense officials, early design proposals for the Golden Dome system included not only missile defense sensors, but covert payload options that could potentially disable or hijack rival satellites, a feature never publicly acknowledged in official documentation. This means the true capabilities and risks of space-based systems may be even greater than most realize. So, the real story of the Golden Dome isn't just about a new missile shield. It's about the dawn of an entirely new era, one where our choices, both technical and ethical, will shape the destiny of generations. Will we let fear and secrecy drive us to the brink, or can we forge a more transparent, cooperative path forward? If you believe these debates matter, help shine a light on them. Like this video, share it, and join the conversation in the comments below. Is the Golden Dome a necessary shield against modern threats, or does it risk crossing a line humanity will regret? Subscribe for more deep dives into the